Hey guys, it's Rachel from the Luring Lamb, and today I have my birthday book haul and back to school book haul and pre-birthday book haul all mashed up into one. I had 4 books from before my birthday that I purchased, then some books I purchased on like my birthday book shopping outing. That's the word I was looking for. And then I am moving away from home for school, and I kind of just wanted to buy some new books because I won't really be able to buy books as frequently because I'm going to have a tighter budget because they're just more expensive of living out on my own. Well, not really on my own, I'm on residence, but there's still a lot more expenses to cover. And I won't be working as much. So I was like, I'm going to have my little send-off party. But this is the box. I've stacked them all in. It's really heavy. It's like that. And I'm going to, start with the books that I bought before my birthday. And then all the other books are kind of muddled in here. But they're pretty much purchased around the same time. So, and also if you hear the floor creaking, I'm sitting, of course, on the creakiest part of the floor, but, house is like 60 years old. So the first book I purchased was The Inn at Eagle Point by Cheryl Woods, and this is the first book in the Chesapeake Shores series. And I really wanted to watch the TV show. I watched the pilot. I need to get back into it. But I really, really enjoyed it, and I kind of just felt like a nice beachy show, a nice beach read that didn't have too much craziness, but I really ended up enjoying this, and I could definitely, as I was reading it, really see why Hallmark picked it up. Because Hallmark Channel movies are like fluffy. They have their deep moments, of course, but they're kind of just lighter. They're more relaxing. They're like the reality TV show kind of movies and stuff like that. They're like, well, not all, but like kind of feel good. You can just relax. You don't have to be like analyzing everything. That's the kind of stuff I was looking for this summer. And then with that, I purchased the second book, Flowers on Main by Cheryl Woods. I haven't gotten into this one yet because it just got in like 2 weeks ago, but I really want to start this one soon. And then I also bought the third book, Harbor Lights. I really wanted the second and third books, and they were on for a deal, so I picked up both of those. There's like 14 books in that series though, so it's going to take a while. Then I picked up Daddy Longlegs by Jean Webster, or Jean Webster, I think it's Jean though, not 100% sure. But basically this one I picked off Amazon, that's why it's like such a weird edition. And this, I forgot to mention what this series is about. This series starts off basically with the main character Abby moving back to town to help her sister Jess with Jess's inn that she's running. And basically when she comes back to town, she is from New York. She's really overworked, and she has 2 twin daughters, Carrie and Caitlin, and there's just a lot of disconnect in her life. Like, she basically, it's like a live to work, like nothing else or work to live. I don't even know why I'm using that if I can't even process that right now. But anyway, she's very frazzled, and she moves back to her hometown for a while to help her sister, and all these old feelings for this old flame trace start coming up, and it explores her relationship with her family. Anyway, Daddy Longlegs is basically this this book was turned into a movie that Fred Astaire starred in. I think it's from the 50s. But me and my friend Ray watched it. It's one of his favorite films, and we watched it together. We both were like, we need to read this once we saw it was actually a book. And it's an epistolatory, I hope I pronounced that correctly, but it's basically a book told in the form of letters, which really interests me. And it's basically about a young girl named Jerusha, who they call Judy, and it follows her throughout her college years, and she basically gets sponsored by this really wealthy man who she names Daddy Longlegs. And she, as part of the deal, he sponsors her to come to America and go through her college years, but each month she has to write a letter to him just letting him know her grades, her progress, and how she's doing. And it kind of is following that and all these unanswered letters. Then the books that I purchased from the store. So this one is one that I got on sale. It's called Book of Numbers by Joshua Cohen. And this book is very, very controversial on Goodreads. It only has like a 2 point something, but I decided to take a chance on it because it was, as you can see, $4. And it sounded interesting to me. So this book also is written by, obviously I said Joshua Cohen, and he is a critic for Harper's Magazine, and he's done a lot of like magazine work, so that interests me as well. But I'm just going to read a bit of the inside flap for this one because that will explain the book better than I ever could. So, a monumental, uproarious, and exuberant novel about the search for love, truth, and the meaning of life with the internet. The enigmatic billionaire founder of Teraton, the world's most powerful tech company, hires a failed novelist, Josh Cohen, to ghostwrite his memoirs. The mogul known as Principal brings Josh behind the digital veil, tracing the rise of Teraton, which started in the earliest days of the internet by revolutionizing the search engine before venturing into smartphones, computers, and the surveillance of American citizens. Principal takes Josh on a mind-bending world tour from Palo Alto to Dubai and beyond, initiating him into the secret pretext of the autobiography project and the life or death stakes that surround its publication. So it's like insider tech expose, leaked memoir in progress, international thriller, family drama, sex comedy, and biblical allegory. Book of Numbers renders a full range of modern experience, both online and off, embodying the internet in its language. It finds the humanity underlying the virtual. So that's not really interesting to me. It sounded like it took on a lot of genres, and each birthday I feel like I always pick up like an on sale book. Well, like I usually try to pick up on sale books because they're cheaper, but I just take a chance on a book, and I'm thinking this might be the one to take a chance on. A lot of people also on Goodreads, I was actually noticing a lot of people didn't finish the book that were rating it really low, which I have thoughts on. I don't really think that's fair. You finish the book before you rate it. Like, it's not really fair. It's not a meal where you can just take a few bites and it's like the whole meal tastes like that. You can rate the meal that way. Books can ebb and flow and change. I feel like if you, instead of putting a review on Goodreads, you should just put DNF the book and explain the reasons instead of rating it 1 star and giving it that when you haven't fully given the book a chance. I just feel like that's not, like, I know they put DNF, but don't read it because you didn't finish it, and that's not really fair to the author or even people going to read the book, because a lot of the reviews I was like, oh no, and then I started reading them and I read somebody else's review saying, you know, theirs was a 3 star, so it wasn't much higher, but they were saying, I actually finished the book and this is what I think of it, whereas a lot of these people haven't. So I like that. Speaking of books with low reviews, this is another one, and it's called Hey Harry, Hey Matilda by Rachel Hullen. And this book has very low reviews, but I really wanted to take a chance on it because it sounded interesting to me. And basically it's about Matilda, and she's grappling with her failure to live as an artist and the very bad lie she's told her boyfriend. The lie she told her boyfriend was that her brother, who's her twin, is dead. And basically, when Matilda invites her boyfriend home for Thanksgiving to meet the family, she falls down a slippery slope why am I like slurring my S's? A slippery slope of shame, scandal, and drunken hot tub revelations, forcing both siblings to examine who they really are and who they want to be. And this book is told entirely in email exchanges, and yeah, I really like that format. As I talked about before, I like letter format. This is told in email format, and if you look, it's like, there's a few more pages, and I think there's a few pictures in here, I think. But I just really love that format, and I was like, I really want to take a chance on it. Got good quotes from The Guardian and People, Publishers Weekly. I'm interested to see what people actually think about that book. If you've read that, definitely let me know, because it has such low reviews, I'm very interested in why. Then I picked up Amanda Wakes Up by Alison Camerota. I think that's her name. It's in cursive, so you know. Yeah, Camerota. But this book looked really good. I've seen this one before quite a few times on the shelves or online. And it's basically a girl named Amanda, and she lands a job at Fair News, and it's a morning anchor slot. And now that she's finally made it into like the industry she wants, she believes that she'll be able to finally realize her dreams and cover hard-hitting stories and stories that she wants to focus on. But she soon finds these ideals shredded as she struggles to keep up with the issues in a world where they're not only does the news channels want to, you know, tell everybody the news, but they're really in there for ratings as well. So it's kind of this new way of life. And she's walking a knife's edge between ambition and survival, and about to break the biggest story of her career. But in breaking that story, she must decide if she's willing to give up to get ahead and what she needs to hold on to save herself. So it sounds very interesting. I'm really interested in reading books about reality TV and that reality experience. And though news isn't reality TV, it is TV it's not scripted TV, which I guess some reality shows arguably you can say are scripted to an extent, but it's kind of that live TV buzz and just the inner workings of TVs and sets. I'm very interested in reading about those. So I thought this sounded interesting, especially because it does deal with such a prevalent issue in our society, fake news, what constitutes as fake news, the fact that on the other side, news channels being disingenuous, but also they do have to keep up with people not having as much people just, going onto the streaming devices. Like, they do have to keep the ratings up, and how does that compromise? Because it's not all evil on the news side. Like, I understand the business aspect, but it is because they're misinforming people. So it's kind of that weird issue where it's like, is it really completely their fault? Yes, of course it is. But at the same time, can you kind of see some kind of sympathy for that side, even though it's not a really great sympathy or sympathize, So I'm really interested in that. They're saying on the back, ever crave the glamour of life as a morning TV anchor? The co-host of CNN's New Day stirs up a taste in this breezy novel about a newswoman who lands her dream job, not anticipating the chauvinism that comes with it. So yeah, I don't know why I'm really being bad today reading. I think it's just because I was working and I'm done with talking today. But I will continue going. The next book I picked up was The End of Men by Karen Rinaldi. And this book I picked up, I was looking for the shelves and I saw I just look pretty much at every book. I'm just scanning the shelves. And I pulled this one out and because I recognized the author's name for some reason. I was like, I recognize her name. And then I saw, so this is featuring the storyline that inspired Maggie's Plan, which is a movie of Ethan Hawke. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I loved the Before trilogy, and I've been diving into Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, who are the two main characters, filmographies. And this is one of Ethan Hawke's more recent movies. I believe it's from 2016. And I really want to watch it. It's actually one that I have on my list to watch. I don't know if that's a list. That's my Amazon list. That's a list it's on. But this, I was it inspired a storyline for that movie. I want to watch that movie. This is perfect. And basically, this one follows 4 girls: Isabel, Anna, Beth, and Maggie. And they're women who aren't afraid to take it all. So there's whether spearheading a maternity lingerie company, conspiring to return a husband to his ex-wife, lusting after an old lover while in a satisfying marriage, or trying to balance loves for both motherhood and work. They are sexy, determined, and not looking for a simple happily ever after. And it's kind of more of a, comedy type of book. And when I've been picking up books, looking at who is blurbing the book, which I know is not the best thing to go off of, but when I look at certain blurbs on books and I'm I recognize that, or I don't know. I felt the blurbs very interesting there on the back of that book, so interested me. The next book is one that was given to me. My grandma read it, and she was going to, usually she gives her books to her friends, and then they kind of disperse them, but she passed this one to me because I knew about it, and I was eventually I want to read that, so she kindly gifted that to me, and it's The Alice Network by Kate Quinn. And this book is a historical book. Basically, I believe it goes from 1947 to 1915. But this one's very complicated to explain, but it's very popular, so I'm not really going to get into it because of that. The next book I picked up was Lily and the Octopus by Stephen Rowley, which is a book I've been wanting to pick up for a while. And this book is going to literally make me cry so much, because not only is it about a dachshund who develops cancer, and it's the owner's relationship with the octopus, which is what he calls the cancer, the cancer forming. But if you've been watching this channel for a while, you may know this, but I actually have a dachshund. He is 11 years old. His name is George. He's named after one of our family members. People are always meow with that, but it's he's named after, actually, I'll just explain it quickly. He's named after my grandpa. My grandpa passed away when I was 8. We got George when we were 12. And my sister, which is my youngest sibling, if she was a boy, her middle name would have been George, named after my grandpa. And since we never called my grandpa George, we called him just Grandpa, we named our dog after him because, people think that's weird, but it's you take care of your dog amazingly. The dog gets so much attention. We all absolutely adore the dog, just like we had, love my grandpa. And it's an honor for him, because my mom couldn't have she could have, but she didn't want another child after my younger sister. And, so yeah, and we also do not have the room in this house, because we've been living in this house since I was born. So, that's why we named our dog George, but he's getting old. He's in really good health for his age. He has a little bit of a heart murmur, but he's doing great. but when he goes, like, it's gonna crush me. Like, I love that dog so much. Just leaving him this September is going to kill me. But I'm so excited to see him again. Like, that reunited, like, it's gonna be so great. Like, I feel like he's just gonna love me more. He's a little fickle with his love. He's an interesting pup. But I'm not gonna keep talking about him because you're not here for that. The next book I picked up was Providence by Carolyn Kepnes, who is the author of the You trilogy, or no, duology. I hope there's another book in the series. But I really love that series, and I really wanted to read her new book, and I'm really excited to get to this one. This one's another kind of popular one on BookTube, but basically, I believe it's about a guy who gets, this guy Johnny disappears, does not know what happened to this time and what happened to this point in his life, and he realizes that he has some kind of like supernatural powers. So I don't know where my camera died on me at, but basically it was like he got supernatural powers from this away, and they are trying to figure out or account for the time he's missing, I believe. So that sounds very interesting. The next book I picked up was Campaign Widows by Amy Agresti, I think. So basically it's all about what happens when the guys are like, in this case, when the guys are like campaigning and the women are kind of left with their families and their careers and what's happening to them because of their campaigning husbands. And I guess they form like a group, I believe, in Washington. And some of them aren't married, some of them are just girlfriends or fiancés. And they kind of, this one girl, she gets thrust into this campaign widows group, which has women of all ages. And basically their like main group, tie is that their husbands are all on the campaign trail. And Caddy feels unsure of her place in their group, but with the pressures of the unprecedented election mounting, the widow's world keeps turning faster than ever as they hold down the fort while running companies, raising babies, racking up page views, and even reinventing themselves and themselves. And it's all about their like friendship. So it sounded really interesting. I'm interested in reading that one. The next book is Final Girls by Riley Sager. And this book sounds super good. Kind of sounds like it might scare me a lot, but I've heard really good things about this book, so I wanted to get into it. And this one is basically about this girl, Quincy Carpenter. She went on her vacation with 5 friends 10 years ago, and she was the only one who survived. She was a final girl. And basically she becomes a member of this club that no one wants to belong to, the Final Girls Club. And it's basically a group of people that have survived similar massacres. So they have like quite a few here, and she basically, I guess, joins this group. So despite the media's attempts, the girls never meet. Now Quincy is doing well. She has everything going for her, but her memory won't even allow her to recall the events of the night. The past is the past. And that is until one of the other final girls ends up dead. And Sam appears on Quincy's doorstep intent on making Quincy relive the past. And when new details about Lisa's death come to light, Quincy's life becomes a race against time as she tries to unravel Sam's truths from her lies and remember what really happened at Pine Cottage before what was started 10 years ago was finished. So that one sounds really good. I believe it's also about like somebody who hunts the final girls, like if that's just like a simpler synopsis. Then I picked up Any Man by Amber Tamblyn, and this one is basically, Amber Tamblyn was in the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, and she has been more so an advocate for the Me Too movement, and this book is kind of taking a look at that. So it's basically like in this but it's basically about, because I wouldn't even say alternate, because obviously that's so basically this book is about men getting assaulted by women, and kind of how that's more so like, it's kind of in a world where, because more women come out as, being sexually assaulted than men, even though men are definitely affected by sexual assault, but it's just that we hear more so about the women's stories in the media. So this is basically about society where the men are targeted and the women are the ones doing the targeting, and it's kind of looking at the way women get treated if men were treated that way after they come out saying, I got raped or assaulted, kind of the shoe on the other foot scenario. So it sounded very interesting to read. It's been getting really good reviews, and basically the men in this story, they learn to heal because they've been attacked by this serial rapist, and they band together to find a space to raise their voices, and it's told an alternating viewpoint, signature to each voice and experience of the victim. So these pages crackle with emotion ranging from horror to breathtaking empathy. And it says, as bold as is timely, any man is a tribute to those who have lived through the nightmare of sexual assault and asserts how the power of speaking out can change not only the life of survivors, but so to the world around them. So I think it's just like urging people to be like, look, like kind of not normalizing, but normalizing coming out and speaking out about it. Not normalizing the act at all, obviously, but being like, it doesn't matter what, I feel like it's getting at, like, it doesn't matter what sex you are, who you are, you should always, feel safe that you can say, this has happened to me and I'm not okay with this and this is horrible, and that we don't just go, well, you're making it up, or just accuse them. Like, I don't think we should honestly always like go like, oh, I automatically believe you, but I don't think you should be like, oh, you're lying. I think everything needs to be investigated fairly, not unfairly. Just because there are false accusals, but I don't think just because there is one false accusal that we automatically just be like, everybody's lying. No, like, I feel like it's a case-by-case scenario. You should do your research, look into it. But it seems that a lot of times, like 9 times out of 10, when somebody says something's happened, it's happened. So that's kind of how I look at it. So I was really interested to read this book and see kind of how it's talked about. So sorry, the lighting's a little bit different. My camera died right before, like 20 minutes before dinner, so I just had dinner. So now I'm back to just haul the last book. I realized there's been quite a few books. Didn't realize this book haul was going to be so big, but it's going to be one of my last ones for quite a while. The last book I have is All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover, and I know this one's about a marriage, but I didn't read too much into it because Colleen Hoover books, I kind of want to go into as blind as possible. I usually don't read the synopsis. She says like an autobiography for me. I think the only books I haven't read from her are 2 of the novellas, and then the series with Taryn Fisher, I believe. Those are the only books I haven't read from her, so I pretty much know that when I read her books, I'm at least going to enjoy them. The last one, Without Merit, was okay, but I still enjoyed that one, even though it was okay. So she's more of an author, and I just know it's about a marriage that goes through some turmoil. That's basically all. But yeah, these are the books I'm reading. If you've read any of them, let me know what you thought. Obviously, if I've had spoilers, that goes without saying, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.